Welcome to 5% Radio, where it's all about learning like no one else today so you can live like no one else tomorrow. Please be sure to share and subscribe. What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode number 56 of the 5% Radio podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about the stupidity of choosing cheaper airplane tickets, and I'll get to that in just a moment, but I want to kick us off with a couple quotes. Doing what we can or even what we like is not necessarily what we should. And if you don't pursue your dreams, you're going to work for someone else pursuing theirs. If you don't pursue excellence, mediocrity will pursue you. Stephen Covey said this: if a ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take gets us to the wrong place faster. Most of us have two lives: the life we live and the unlived life within us. Let me ask you something. I was speaking to a group of people the other day, and I asked the room this question. If I offered you airline tickets that were easy to get, cheap, convenient, and they were more convenient than whatever flight you had planned on getting on when you arrived at the airport, you had your luggage packed, everything ready to go, would you take those tickets? The room just kind of stared at me, and people are like, well, it depends on where they're going. I said, exactly. See, if I offered you cheaper airline tickets, it doesn't matter how convenient they are, how fast you can get them. It doesn't matter what the seating arrangement is. Oh, I'm going to give you a window seat. The price is cheaper. It's more convenient. It's faster. It's easier. All the stuff. Ultimately, what matters most is, well, it really depends on where are those going to take me. So then let me ask this follow-up question. Why do so many of us do something for a living that makes money faster, more conveniently, more immediately, has less long-term vision and delayed gratification involved, looks good, sounds good, smells good, comes with status, titles, I do X or I'm an X, this, let me show you my office. We do all this stuff. We choose this path, even though it won't actually get us what we want out of a 5% life, which is time and money freedom. Because this analogy truly is absolutely ridiculous. If you walked into an airport and someone offered you, hey, I've got these airline tickets, I'll trade you whatever you have right now, and I'll give you $500, I just need to get a different flight, and they would not tell you where they were to, you would never trade it. But how many times have you talked to people that have switched careers, that have given up on their dreams, that have quit a business, that have started some other venture because they thought, oh man, it's going to be easier, faster, more convenient, I can make money sooner? Ultimately, does it take you where you want to go? It doesn't matter if the airline tickets are cheaper or not. It doesn't matter if they're easier. It doesn't matter anything else. If I hop into a cab and the guy's like, you know what? The guy right in front of me can take you somewhere. It's going to be twice as cheap. He'll take you anywhere he wants to go. And I'm like, wait, excuse me, did you say anywhere that I want to go or anywhere that he wants to go? He'll take you anywhere he wants to go. That's a job. Your boss will take you anywhere he wants to take you, anywhere she wants to take you. The company will take you anywhere they want to take you because it's what's best for them. And on the front side, in the beginning, it looks like, oh, this is faster, it's easier, it's more convenient. See, so many people will go to school, get good grades, go to college, get good grades, get a safe, secure job with good benefits, and the path is laid out for them. It's the easy way out of life. I've said this before. If you take the easy way out of life, life gets harder on the backside. If you take the hard way out of life early, it gets easier on the backside. If I want to be comfortable, I heard one of my mentors say this the other day. He said, if you want to be comfortable in life, you have to get uncomfortable in life. If I want to expand a comfort zone, I have to do things that are outside of that comfort zone, which are, by nature, uncomfortable to begin with. Where does the comfort zone come from? Well, I do things that are uncomfortable, it expands. I do things that are a little bit more uncomfortable, it expands again. If I stay within what is comfortable and I never make myself uncomfortable, I am doing myself to a life of discomfort forever and all the things that I don't like to do right now. And if you're 20 years old and things make you uncomfortable and you decide to avoid them for your entire life, you will live a life of limitations. And if you choose to do something now work-wise that is comfortable, that is sexy, that your parents and in-laws and everyone else can pat you on the back for and say, man, they're doing so good. Look at this. He's got this. He's got that. He's got this degree. He's going to school for his master's. He's going to school for that. And your dream is to get truly financially free. You can take one of two options. Number one, you can lie to yourself and say, hopefully I'll get there eventually. Maybe even though everyone I know that does this thing is still doing this thing and not really making that much money. When I say that much money, I've got friends that are making literally $500,000 a month in what I'm doing to build passive income. And I'll talk to people And they'll be like, yeah, but this person, he's making $200,000 a year selling cars. And I'm not poo-pooing on selling cars if that's what you do, if it's what you genuinely love to do. But if you want to get free, it's not going to happen selling cars. See, I heard one guy, he said this. He said he was actually at a meeting. He was sitting down with a business partner, and he was sitting down with a potential partner that may or may not have been joining a venture with them. And the guy sits down, and just right off the rip, this guy that he's sitting down with as a prospect to even see if there's a fit, starts going on about how we make the same money and you don't really make that much money. He told me exactly what you make. I make that exact same amount of money. We both make about $30,000 a month. And Mark, the businessman who was sitting down to see if there was even going to be a fit with this potential partner, this was his response. He said, okay, so you make 30 grand a month. He said, what do you have to do to make 30 grand a month? He said, sell 30 cars a month. He's like, okay, great, man. That's awesome. Obviously, you're a high performer. Like, dude's killing it. He patted them on the back, like verbally let him know, like, I genuinely am impressed with what you're doing. I love hustlers. I love to see people that are willing to do whatever it takes to make that sort of money. He said, let me ask you this, because he's trying to prove a point here mentally to this guy that what we do is extremely different. Again, the airline tickets are cheaper to sell cars. The airline tickets are cheaper to go to college. The airline tickets are cheaper to go ahead and go get a job. The airline tickets are cheaper to say, you know what, I'm going to go do real estate. The airline tickets are cheaper, and it looks sexy on the front end. But ultimately on the back end, it's not ever going to get you 100% financially free. Well, you don't understand. I own a brokerage, and I own this, and I own that. Yeah, and the larger it gets, the more of your time it requires, because you are the magic. You are the system. Well, no, we actually have a different system. Okay, can you walk away from it from 6 months to a year and have it grow and still make your money systematically? Completely walk away for 6 months to a year. Like, I mean, 100%. Like, no emails, no nothing. Because if you can't, it's not a true B-type business. It's not real 5% living. I'm not downing anything that anyone does, but you've got to be honest with yourself. And he asked the guy this question: what do you have to do next month to make that same $30,000 again? And the guy said, well, I have to sell 30 cars again. He said, that's the difference. He said, with what I do, metaphorically, to fit the analogy, he said, with what I do, I sell 30 cars once, so to speak, and I make the money forever. He said, what you and I do is extremely different. Yes, we make the same money, but it's actually less important how much you make and more important how you make your money. And you might be arguing right now and say, well, you know, if I make $30,000 a year versus $300,000 a year, is it really more important how I make my money versus how much I make? Yes, absolutely it is. There's a difference between a guy making 30 grand a year, working 10 hours a week, who can scale that to 50, 100, 200, 300, and a person who's making $300,000 a year, works 90 hours a week, and the second they stop, their income dries up. Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, Business of the 21st Century, all of these different business books that are phenomenal, Business School, he wrote all these amazing books. One of the things that he said was this. He said, never invest in a business. Get this. Listen, never invest in a business where the system goes home at night. That means if you're self-employed, the system is you. The system, well, no, I built a system. Can the business survive without you? If you chose not to show up tomorrow or the next day or the next week or the next month or the next season of the year, if you didn't show up from spring to the next winter's end, would the business still be running? If the answer is no, then the system goes home at night. Here's the good news about whatever you're doing in life right now. Whatever you're doing in life, if you are ambitious, if you're willing to do whatever it takes, morally, legally, and ethically, here's the good news. Your financial future is 100% up to you. Success or failure, regardless of how you want to define that, is up to you. Here's the bad news. If you're not ambitious, if you're not willing to do whatever it takes, if you're not morally, legally, and ethically willing to say, you know what, regardless of what it is, I'll do it, it's still up to you. Your success or failure is still up to you in any area. I can tell you right now that in our self-employed business venture, we have had some really, really, really just garbage times over the past 2 years. Things have gone great in some aspects, but by and large, if you were to look at this, if you were to chart it out, it would not look good. Our passive income venture has gone up and down. Right now, that is actually crushing it right now compared to our self-employed business. Any of the 1099 LLC stuff that we do, it's not going that great. Passive income, growing well. What we're doing on the front end, though, I really don't care what it takes. I'm doing marketing agency stuff right now. I'm doing some roofing sales. Right now, it's March 7th of 2024 as I record this, and I've got my goal card sitting in front of me on my computer as I record this of exactly what I want this year, the exact date that I want it by, and I've got this quote on the back by Napoleon Hill. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. You've got to first conceive what you want. You've got to know the destination before you walk into the airport and say, hey, I'd like to buy plane tickets to XYZ. If you just say, hey, I'd like tickets, whatever the cheapest is you have, you're going to end up going somewhere you have no desire to go. So don't just take a job or a career or open up an S-type business. I've seen a lot of friends do this. They start a business. I get very passionate about this. And I was actually listening to a talk by a guy named Greg, and I'm not going to say his last name because I don't want people looking up the talk and thinking that I'm associated with whatever it is that he does. But he was talking about different models of basically how you choose how much money you make and choosing what you do very, very, very carefully. He said this. He said that basically it's actually less important that you enjoy what you do. It's less important that you love what you do. It's actually more important of where that vehicle can take you. He said, if I had to shovel horse manure, now he makes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands, like probably $300,000-$400,000 a month with extremely high profit margins, and he works 10 or less hours a week, gets to travel all over the world, speak all over the world. He can take vacations for 2, 3, 4 months at a time without losing income. His business actually grows while he's gone because he's developed a true B-type asset. He has all of that available. And he said that I actually think what you do should have less to do with what you are passionate about and more to do with what that opportunity, that vehicle, that path can provide for you. And so many times in school, we hear, well, you know, it's a mechanical thing. It's a technical thing. Well, you're good at math, so you should do something that involves math. I had people that I knew all throughout growing up in high school. They're like, well, you're good at math and science, so you should be an engineer. Well, you're good at biology. You're good at chemistry. You should be a chemist. You're good in this area. You should be a this. And they don't ask you, hey, what results do you want? If anyone asks you, would you like to work 10 hours a week and make unlimited income? Passively, residually, month in and month out, and you could actually completely step away from what you do if you build it large enough and have a true B-type business asset, live a 5% or even fractional 1% or, you know, half of 1% lifestyle. You can live in a way that almost no one else lives on the planet. Would you like to attend that class, or do you want to actually line up for the whole, 40, 50 hours a week thing, 2 weeks of vacation, ask your boss and please boss, can I have the weekend off? Can I leave early? Like, which one would you like to do? As a 17-year-old kid, no one would be like, you know what? I'm good at working with my hands, so I want to work 50 hours a week. Like, almost no kid, because you remember the first time you work 40 hours a week, you're like, this sucks. It's terrible. See, it only takes a couple weeks for a career to become a job. You go into the place, you're like, man, I've got my career, I've got my titles, my diplomas on the wall. Only people that have degrees can work here. And then you're like, you know what? This Monday felt exactly like last Monday and the Monday before and the Monday before and the Monday before and the Monday before. And people will do that for their entire lives, never looking at, well, I bought some cheaper airline tickets, man. It was easier up front. It's going to be harder on the back end. Someone who wants a true 5% lifestyle, financially speaking, time and money. A truly hungry person does not care about what it looks like. They don't care about titles, a career, that sound, any of that stuff. I've already mentioned it. They care about the results. I started a meeting with a guy the other day, expanding a project locally where I live, and I'm looking for business partners. I'm not looking for employees. I'm not looking for yes men. I'm not looking for people that'll, I'll do whatever you say. Like, I don't want that. I don't want, quote unquote, team members to build an office. I don't want any of that junk. I want someone who has the vision that I have, that we can link arms together and run together and actually build a B-type business asset of passive residual income and get completely free. And I asked the guy before I started the meeting, I said, let me ask you something. This will really save both of us a lot of time. I said, you and I don't know each other, but if we did, I would know where you live. If you and I were best friends, I know where you live, right? He's like, oh, yeah, I mean, for sure. We'll just make the assumption we're best friends. I know where you live. Okay, so if I showed up tomorrow morning with a huge dump truck, let's say it's a 2.5-ton dump, and that thing is full of horse manure, and I back that into your backyard. I dump it out, and then you come out like, dude, what the heck is going on? Like, you're dumping horse poop in my lawn? And I'm like, yep, that whole, that thing I talked to you about getting financially free? Yep, okay. So here's the deal. I have the smallest sandwich Ziploc baggies that I could find at the dollar store here in town. I have those, and then I have these fondue forks. What I want you to do is take these fondue forks and then clean up all this horse poop, put it in these little Ziploc baggies for the sandwich bags right there, and then throw that back in the dump truck. Whenever that's done, I'll pay you $30,000 a month for the rest of your life. You'll never have to see me again. And then I look at the guy that I'm talking to. We don't know each other that well. The assumption's made we're best friends. I know where you live, all this stuff. He's like, yeah. I'm like, let me ask you this. Would you do it? If he says no, meeting's over right there. I don't have to show him details. I don't have to show him what we're doing. I don't have to show him how much money's available. I don't have to show him anything that we're doing. I don't have the person that I'm looking for sitting across from the table, so I can be like, you know what, man? It doesn't look like there's going to be a fit here, but tell me about yourself. What do you like to do? And then I can just make a friend, then I can leave. Because he's more interested in the cost of the airline tickets than where they're going. See, most people want to negotiate the price for success. They want to say, you know what, I want this, but they're not willing to actually pay the price. They want the prize without the price. They want the lifestyle without the learning process. They want the glamour of it without anything else. They want the results. They don't want to have to do what they would be required to do to actually get the thinking that produces those results. They think they can take their thinking, their current work habits, their discipline or lack of discipline, everything about them, they think they can just take that now into becoming successful. You are going to have to change. And if you're not willing to let go of absolutely everything, again, outside of morally, legally, and ethically, if you're not willing to go to the umpteenth degree and say, you know what, I will change everything that I have to outside of compromising my morals and values. I'll change everything if I can achieve this, if I can get to that destination. If you're not willing to do that, then chances are, now that might change. You might be ready for it later, but chances are right now, then you are not ready to move on. I heard one guy say this. He said, if I had to shovel horse manure every day, okay, if I had to shovel horse manure every single day, but it would make me 3 times more than I make now in half the time, he said I would do it in a heartbeat. This is the same guy that makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, travels all over the world, can walk away from what he does. He said, if I had to shovel horse manure and it would make me 3 times as much in half the amount of time, he said I wouldn't even give it a second thought, because my ultimate goal is to have more money and more time with my family, with my kids, to spend on my priorities, church, ministry, whatever his priorities are. My goal is to have more money to fund that and more time to do those things. So if I had to shovel horse poop to do it and you would pay me 3 times as much and I would work half the amount of time, I would gladly do it, and I would start doing it in a heartbeat. See, far too often we base what we would do or would not do, what we would or would not be willing to do, we base it on what those around us are doing. Many people nowadays are trying to, you probably heard this, keeping up with the Joneses, when in reality the Joneses only look good on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. They only look good on the surface. I've met so many people. I'm thinking of a family right now, almost said their last name, didn't do it. But I know a family that growing up, I knew a gal that was super, super, super close to their son, and she shared with me that they were so on the edge financially all the time, but guess what? Their kids wore super nice clothes, their kids had great shoes, everything about them looked good, smells good, and they were absolutely broke. Their house was bigger than they could afford. The cars they drove were beyond what they could afford. Their jobs did not pay that much. They were leveraged to the hilt with consumer, unsecured credit on credit cards and all kinds of other things they had borrowed from the bank. Their lifestyle was rented. They were absolutely living on the bleeding edge all the time, financially stressed out to the max. But man, they looked good. I remember her telling me that, and I was only like 18. I'm like, why the heck would you do that? Because I didn't grow up in a family like that. My dad grew up in trailer parks, and we lived in a great neighborhood. My dad was extremely frugal for a very, very, very long time, like very, very, very tight with his money, because there was no need to owe it all and show it all. There was no need to have stuff to impress people that you didn't even care what they thought. But if you care what people think, it's going to be hard for you to succeed, because 99% of the people, it's not even 95%, 99% of the people are going in a certain direction. They're getting good grades. They care about school. They care about credentials. They care about titles, what's before or after your name. They care about a piece of paper they can hang on their stupid wall in their office to say, look at the education I have. And not that the education's stupid, but they are bound to that education. They will not choose a different career path because they're like, well, I already spent this long getting in this pathway. I might as well finish. That makes no sense. If I'm driving and I'm 150 miles into a 300-mile trip and I'm like, you know what? I see a cliff in the distance, but I'm already committed to this thing. I already said that I would go. People know. People told me that this was the right thing to do. I'm just going to drive off the cliff. Maybe I know that no one else who drove off the cliff survived. All the other people that worked 45 years and then retired to get on Social Security and then go back into from retirement to rehirement and get another job. It didn't work for any of them, but maybe it's going to work for me. I'm too far committed now. I better keep going. It doesn't make any sense. Judging your success by whoever's around you is, generally speaking, comparing yourself to mediocrity. It would be a safe bet that almost no one listening to this knows people or lives around people or is comparing their lifestyle to people who live a truly 5% lifestyle. Let me define that for you. That's someone who could step away from their business for at least, at minimum, 6 months to a year, and it would grow indefinitely. I can't believe how many people that do what I'm doing to build passive income I've talked about. I walked away for a year. This tragedy happened. I was away for 6 months and my business grew. No, it's not real estate. No, it's not day trading. It's not all these other, it's vacation properties. It's this, it's that. It's multifamily. It's not any of that stuff. It's not sexy. You're not going to see some guy selling an online course for it. It's $2,000 and we only accept 10 people a month, and they have all these testimonials. This guy made $24,000 his first month, and this guy's making $90,000 a month. What they won't tell you is the amount of phone calls, emails, the amount of employees that guy has to handle, his payroll, his profit margins. He might have made $90,000 last month. Okay, he kept $20,000 and worked 80 hours. Is that the life you want? It's not the life I want. Comparing yourself to other people, whether you know them, they're in your neighborhood, your friend group, anything else, in your industry, is like saying that you're doing good based on that comparison is like this. It's like two guys jumping out of a plane, both without parachutes, and you're excited. So you're one of the guys that are jumping out of the plane. You're excited because you look over and you realize, hey, he doesn't have a parachute either, but since he jumped first, he's going to hit the ground first. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. So quit comparing yourself to the guy down the road who drives a little bit nicer car, works at the place you work, he's a supervisor, and he makes another $6,000 a year before tax, and he works way more hours. He gets there before you, leaves after you. His marriage is in shambles, and you're like, man, it'd be nice to have that position. Look down the road further and say, is this going to take me where I want to go? Because failing second is not succeeding. Jim Collins, he wrote Built to Last, Good to Great, a bunch of other business books, but those are the two that he's primarily known for. He had this question in one of his books. He said, if you had $200 million in the bank, which is, enough for most people to accomplish pretty much any dream they would have. If you had $200 million in the bank and 5 years left to live, he said, what would you do with the years you have left? What would you do with the 5 years you have left? Because you're going to focus, aren't you? You got 5 years left. You have 60 months left on this earth. 60 months. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What is that? 260, is that right? 260 weeks? I think that's right. 52 times 5. You don't have that much time left, ultimately. Like, if you look at it like 5 years ago, like, man, that goes by. It's 2024 right now. 5 years ago, that just flies by. 5 years ago, I was getting married. Longer than 5 years ago, I was getting married. That absolutely flew by. If you knew that, I've got all this money in the bank, I've got 5 years, would you change anything? Because if your answer is yes, I would change everything, then really what you're saying, do you understand what you just said there? You just said that you weren't doing anything you wish you were doing. How crazy is that? Because most of us, understand this, I've said this before, most of us will work 90 to 100,000 hours in our lifetime if we choose to work on what I talked about in episodes 4 and 5. If we choose to stay employed or self-employed, most of us will work 90 to 100,000 hours during our lifetime, based on the fact that we work roughly 2,000 hours a year, and we'll work for roughly 45 to 50 years. Okay, the math adds up there, somewhere between 90 to 100,000 hours, not including overtime and things like that, so it might actually be more than 90 or more than 100,000 hours. Generally speaking, those are the best hours of our day. They're the time when you genuine energy. You generally have the most energy. You're the most alert. You have the most to give. You have the most focus. 90 to 100,000 hours of most people's lives, because they choose to live on the left side of the cash flow quadrant, employed or self-employed, trading time or a service or a product for money. They'll be spent doing something they don't even want to do. If you had 5 years left to live, $200 million in the bank, if you wouldn't be doing that thing, why are you doing it now? If you wouldn't do it for a lifetime, why are you doing it today? Well, because I have to. Do you really have to? Do you really have to do what you're doing now for money? Or could you change something and actually begin to chase your dream? Because I love when people ask a question like that, and the answer is, oh, well, I do what I do because I love it. So you're telling me that if you stop making money effective immediately, if they called you into the office tomorrow morning, said, here's your box, here's your junk, get out of here, you're fired, we had to do pay cuts, it was me or you, I'm the boss, we had to let you go, I'm staying. If you did that, would you say, you know what, I'll take this to my car, but I love this place so much that I'm coming back in, and I don't even have to clock in. I'll be here every single day, next week, the week after that, you know what, until we absolutely are bled dry financially, and I have to do something else because I love it so much here, and I'm not being sarcastic. Would you do this? I'll come back and work for free. If the answer is no, then you're not really doing what you do simply because you love it. Now, there may be some passion, some love, some affection involved for what you do, but it seems that money is largely involved in the reason that most people do what they do to pay their bills. It's not just their passion. Well, I don't even make that much. We don't even pay our bills, but I love what I do. So if they quit paying you tomorrow, you'd keep doing it. You'd go pick up another full-time job just to keep doing what you do now for no pay. I don't think so, because I've heard a lot of people tell me that. how much they love what they do, how passionate they are, all this other stuff. They tell me, man, this plane ticket is so great. I love it so much. I love the destination. And then I see them a couple months or a couple of years later, and they're doing something else. And I'm like, what happened? Well, such and such made me a better. I thought you loved the place you're working at now, but they made you a better offer, more money, better hour, and you left. Why? I thought you loved what you did, because ultimately it did come down to the fact that you had to pay your bills. If you want to stop trading time for money, you've got to do something differently than those who are trading time for money, working hourly, working sourly, working even straight commission. They've got to sell 30 cars a month, so to speak. Just remember this: next time you get offered something that is less than your dream and that you would not be doing if you had 5 years to live, you wouldn't be doing it. 5 years to live, $200 million in the bank, and someone offers it to you just because it's a cheaper airplane ticket, just because it's a better cab fare, does not mean that it's going to take you to where you want to go, which means it's not a better deal. Just because the vehicle looks sexier and other people will pat you on the back for driving that vehicle. You're doing so good. We're so proud of you. Look at the title. It doesn't mean that it will actually take you where you want to go. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that it sounds better and looks better on the outside. The better you get in life, the more offers you get. The more offers you get, the harder it is to say no. The more you say no, the more appealing you are for people to make more offers and better offers, because they understand that you understand how to say no, which means you have focus, which barely anyone ever has. Men fail by and large because of broken focus. Taking anything less than chasing your dream is a losing choice. I've got a friend that started, scaled, and sold a business that was literally doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I think it was doing over $100,000 a month within like a year and a half of him starting it. It cost him very little to run. It was scaling extremely well, and he was making a ton of money. You know what he did? He had another primary business that is his main business asset where he's making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month. He's one of the guys that I mentor with, actually. His name is Wayne. He walked away from and actually sold that business. He sold it, you know why? Because it didn't matter, and it was taking his focus away from his main thing. Making over $1 million a year. He said it was one of the easiest businesses to build that he'd ever built, but it was taking his focus away from his main thing, and it didn't truly matter at the level that he wanted to make an impact. Understand, you got to keep first things first, keep the main thing, focus on your dream, put on emotional blinders, and keep going. Guys, if you want to learn more about what I talked about today, go check out episode 19, Red Dresses, Focus, and Doing the Boring Work, and I'll talk to you next time.